I'm just going to touch no buttons.
You're going to touch no buttons. Hello, we're live. Welcome back, peeps. Ravenflower here. This is once again Truth Talk. Today we are visiting with the fabulous Cris Ashburn. And gosh, I mean, we were chatting like crazy and before we went live, and this woman had me in stitches, making me crack up, like, which was very much needed today. So, Cris, welcome. I know you've been on 24-hour chat, but I think this is the first time I've ever had you like officially like on my chat.
Yeah, well, and also like just you and I too. Like I've talked to you a lot of times before with other people, but never just you and I, which is kind of cool too.
Well, so, because I'm scared and I need buffers.
No.
I'm a little fangirling right now. Like, I think I peed like 3 times before you came on.
Well, you know what? I peed too.
So. Awesome.
It's fine. This is teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. It's been a year since I chatted with you. How you doing?
Yes, I'm doing good. First of all, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
I appreciate reaching out and such.
I reach.
You did, and I responded. I was like, yes, I fucking love Raven. Let's do this. So like I've been good. I've been really busy. I know for a lot of people, like with 2020 and everything, and that has gone down and is still going down. And everybody's getting real sick of your shit.
Yeah.
Really, so with 2020 and everything going down, like I know a lot of people, they had like 2 extremes. It was either like dead silence or like complete madness. Mine went into like complete madness, but in a good way. So like I got very busy. I just told you a little bit ago, but I'll say it again because we're live. So I've been like booked solid since the beginning of last summer.
It's incredible.
To the extent that I took a month vacation. Stop it, phone. Nobody wants to hear from you right now. Shh, shut up. No, nobody cares. Shh, get away from my mic. Nothing's happening. Pay no attention to the vibration in the corner. No, so like I ended up having to take like the month of January off for vacation, which helped a lot because I was working like 12-hour days pretty consistently. So it's been busy, but I've been blessed with that. So like I'm super happy about that. I'm not happy about the circumstance that brought people there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I am glad that in like this sort of situation that's going on, I'm like supported by the universe and by the community, and you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Very thankful for that. And as a Cappy, I don't mind some work.
True.
That's
true.
Fun. Work's fun.
You've got a bunch of people in the chat right now going, hello. We've got,
hi.
I am the worst. I apologize, viewers. I am the worst because I usually I was trained with like customer service. Customer service means that the person in front of you is the most important person.
No, me too.
Right? Yeah. So I have a hard time going to the chat and like, because I feel like I'm dividing my.
Oh no.
And I'm
like part of it. That's fine.
They are part of it. So we've got all kinds of people in here. We've got Aiden. We were talking about Aiden beforehand. Aiden, we were talking about your ears burning.
I know, right?
Lisa Pie, Little Cosmic Crow, Draven Michael. We've got Snow the Witch. We have so many. Caitlin Black. Hello, Caitlin.
Yes. I see a lot of my Patreon folk in here, actually.
Awesome.
Hey, guys.
Dom.
And some faces I haven't seen in a while.
Katrina Hobian? Hello? Hello? And the Blessing Moon. That is a lot of people. I've got like 15 people like on right now at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you must be pretty fabulous.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. Yeah, it is 9 o'clock where you are. Wow.
It's 9 o'clock. So you're on the opposite end of the country from me, yes?
Yes. Yeah, it's noon 18, but yeah, it's noon.
Can I ask whereabouts you're located?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio. And I'll even say the city. I'm in Toledo. So I'm like North Ohio.
Do you feel that it's very witch friendly there?
I would say so. We have a pretty diverse community in Ohio. Depending on like the area of Ohio that you go to, there's I mean, and especially all of the major cities. Like the major cities have a lot of pagans and heathens. A lot. And there's also a really open like offshoots of that, I would say, like just alternative communities in general. Like I know Columbus has a really big sort of like BDSM community and things like that.
Okay.
So like, and that a lot of times will offshoot some of the pagan worlds because alternative lifestyles and things run together sometimes. So yeah, there's it's pretty varied. In Toledo itself, there is a lot of I know we have some heathens here, but the bulk of it is like traditional witchcraft.
Okay.
Like we have a British hereditary that I used to be a part of. No drama there, it just disbanded. The priestess got busy, life. But no, like that the British hereditary one, and then there's a left-hand path coven here, and then there's another that's just a little more Wiccan leaning. And you know, like every now and then there's the witch war stuff, but pretty much it's pretty friendly. And then there's another group that's a little more shamanic in nature around that gather. And they do a lot of like drummings and like fire stuff, like bonfires.
I always feel like I have like, 12 different feet because my foot is in various different practices. As an eclectic witch and more of an intuitive witch, I kind of do what I feel. And sometimes being in like a coven, I generally say no because I can't even articulate what it is I'm doing because I've been solid practitioner for so long. And you get, this might be my double Scorpio coming out, but then somebody's just like, you should be into that herb for blah, 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 blah.
You should shut up. Yeah.
I'm just like, this is what works for me and my goddess, and that's all.
Yeah, I think for myself, my experience with the coven was because I grew up with, for those who don't know, like I grew up with a background where my mom is pagan and my dad was Southern Baptist, which like right there, I'm just gonna let it get all a second. Yeah. So yeah, and the thing is like pretty much they did their own things. My mom always was a little more of an active role in that, and my dad was kind of like okay to like let her anyway. And she was someone who was always a questioner, still is. And so even when she was younger, she was asking questions. So she always instilled it in me beyond anything to question everything, which is a quote, right? Question everything, even if I myself have said it.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of the basis of everything I do. I question everything. Nothing is above that. And it doesn't mean that it's not sacred. It doesn't mean that it's not important. It just means everything should be held to a question, because how can you truly have faith in something or believe in something if you haven't questioned it? Right. So, I did that with both. Like I did it looking at Christianity. I did it looking at all kinds of paganism. Like I explored a lot of religions when I was little, and like cultures and stuff.
How cool! How cool!
Theology was like one of the first things that I like grabbed onto.
Really?
I remember. So another little fact: I was homeschooled from 5th grade up. Okay. And I was homeschooled because of other stuff. Like I was basically bored.
I can see you being bored.
Like because half the year is sometimes spent recapping on the thing that you learned from last year, and like that's fine, and I get like what that is and the premise of why that's being done. But what would happen is I already remembered that, so like I would just get bored and I would start shaving crayons on glue paper, that thing. And like making paper houses and shit at my desk, which was not to the teacher's liking. Or completely staring off into space, like in my own head doing other stuff. And they tried to say that I was having seizures to my mother, who is a nurse. Yeah, like the seizures where you just space out, like I think they're the grand mal. And and like we're trying to like put me on Ritalin and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, we're good on that. We just gonna go homeschool. All right. And so I started being homeschooled. And so I remember distinctly, this is how this loops back. So I remember distinctly her buying this like thick book that was on Egyptian culture and mythology.
Ooh.
Right? She made the mistake. I'm in 5th grade. She made the mistake of leaving it on the dining room table. Because she was thinking, I'll buy this. It's pretty thick. I can break it up into chapters. And how we did my schoolwork when I was homeschooled is that it would be set by the week. So pretty much I was allowed to arrange it however and study when I needed to study. It was up to me. It was my responsibility. But at the end of the week, I was going to be tested on that. And if I didn't know my stuff, I was going to have to do it all over again.
Ooh, okay.
Right. So basically, I could do it all in like 48 hours. I could stretch it out over the week. I could do it at night. I could do it in the day. Didn't matter as long as it was done and I actually knew it because I was going to be tested. So she was thinking, well, I'll just piece it out. Right. And then we can like work through this book slowly and learn about culture. And like, you know, she likes this kind of stuff. I do like this kind of stuff, which is why she shouldn't have left the book on the table. Because what happened was I saw the book. I brought it upstairs to my bedroom and I read it overnight.
Oh boy.
And so she's talking the next day about, oh, I got you this new book and I'm really excited about it to start going into it. And I'm like, oh, cool. What is it? And she tells me and I was like, was that the book on the table?
Because guess what?
Yeah. And then her voice went up an octave like, you read that entire... Like...
She's like,
it was free reign. There was no note on it. It looked really interesting. Yeah. So no, that was like, I was encouraged to like read up on different cultures and religions and things like that. And like to think about that, because the truth is like, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of different paths to that for people, and different people are different. Like people have different traumas and things like that. Like for instance, with my mom, like for her, she can't listen to like a male voice with hypnosis, but she's responsive to a female voice. And that's because of like trauma stuff.
Interesting.
So people are different. So like, yeah, some people are going to see like a big dude in the sky. Some people are going to be more comfortable with a goddess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people maybe like both. So some people are more tough love. Some people are more, you know, like a gentle kind of steady love. It's different people. So of course it's going to come up differently, you know, like that doesn't mean anything's wrong.
How does that work? Because I know that you're a priestess, right? Mm-hmm. So how does that work? Because I felt, or my experiences with most priestesses, and I don't get this vibe from you at all, is, you know, very much you should, you gotta, you blah, 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 you know, and it's a very, maybe like more of a rote process, and not so much of the questioning, you know, and how do you relate to that when you know that different people have different paths, but yet you're still a priestess? Is there one way to do it, or do you not agree with that? How tell me your truths.
Yes. So I think the core answer to that is, again, that basis of question everything that I grew up on. So my mother, so I'm a priestess twice over. I'm a priestess through my family, which is like I'm acting priestess. So I'm the one facilitating rituals and things in the family now. If like my nieces or anything have questions, I'm the one that's going to be teaching them or showing them what's up or helping them. And then I also am a priestess in Luxunis temple, which is like a sisterhood that is not just women, it's open to everybody. But yeah, and so that's a whole other thing, which by the way, that opens in March. The gates open, so you know, look them up. But anyway,
send me a link and I'll put it in the description bar.
I will. So but if you like request, make sure you fill out the questions in it, because that's like an important gateway process of them getting to know your energy. So anyway, but no, the priestess thing, so for me the basis is, I personally don't, when I think of a leader, I think of someone who does not need to project that they are a leader. They are one because they are acknowledged as one in the community, because they behave as one, not outwardly projecting as that, or like, you know, commanding space in that way, but because space is respected and honored through their service. And because the community acknowledges that as well, and also in turn respects that. And, you know, is that an ideal? Yes. Humans are still humans, right? And that's not always what happens from either side. But for me, the most important thing is service and helping. And you cannot help someone unless you're listening to them. You cannot hold space for ritual unless you are also being receptive as well as projective.
Okay.
Right. So for me, it's more about that. It's more about like, if I'm going to show someone how to do something, I recognize that everyone is different, right? So I'm not showing them my way specifically. I'm showing them what their way is through my method of questioning, my method of gateways, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you feel that you bring spirit in, like maybe ancestral spirits or anything that you're picking up from them, not yours, but them, or maybe yours? They're telling you, hey, they would be down with this, but stay away.
Yeah.
You already, yeah.
So when I do like sessions or anything like that, I have my ancestors, I have their ancestors, I've got my guides and gods, I've got theirs too. And it's more like, someone once explained like a session with me as like having like a sit down like group talk at the kitchen table with like everybody.
Like a forum.
Yeah. It's like just everybody's sitting and having coffee. And so it's like real chill, but like at the same time, it's like translating with everybody else that's sitting there spirit wise. And so, yeah, they'll definitely tell me certain things or like show me certain things. But I also don't feel like it's my place to be like, this is not your place to do that. Because sometimes people need to explore those things to know that for themselves. Like, you can tell someone to tell you're blue in the face, but sometimes the experience or like seeing it for it's like, you know, don't touch the hot stove. I was brought up with tough love. Don't touch the hot stove. Okay, keep on. Go ahead, touch it. When you touch it and it's hot, you'll learn.
Yeah, you'll learn.
Right.
And so it's like having teenagers and young adult children, because I'm telling you, I've told them so many times, and now I think they're using my past horrible experiences as badges of honor. I'm like, look, you don't get a pass. This isn't Girl Scout.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. But the thing is with that, right, is I would rather have them touch the stove, so to speak, with me there.
Yeah, true.
Than touch the stove without. That's like the first time I drank with my mother. Why? Because my mom would rather have me drunk with her. Yep. So that I can learn what my tolerance is and how to gauge that and how to work through that with someone who is responsible and who she knows will care for me.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's the same premise. Like, I would rather be someone who can be a loving and protective presence to help guide when they're having that moment, as opposed to them be having this moment completely by themselves.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's love. That's what that is. That's just flat out, you know, total respect for somebody and just the openness and the love. You got full on love chakra, heart chakra open.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because the heart is a big part of what I grew up with. Like, our focus is very much heartbeat, all of that. So that's pretty on point.
I feel you when watching your channel, and you have this way about you, which you probably already know because you're already doing what you're doing, but you have a very down to earth, easy flow to you. Like, there's not as nervous as I was before we came on, it's like the second I heard your voice, everything was fine. Everything was fine.
You know what? I was nervous too. It's been a while since I've gone live, but now I'm fine.
You're fine. So we're all good. Hugs all around.
It's interesting too, because I could say something very similar about you. You've always been very, very warm and inviting, but at the same time, very strong.
Well, I'll tell
you have kind of a like, I dare you to move me mountain vibe, but at the same time, you have a like, I give really fucking good hugs.
I do. 2020, the one thing that I really, really miss is hugging people.
Yeah.
Because there was just this energy exchange. And like, when I see my friends and it's like, you know, arm distance, you know, or whatever, just all around, it's just like, all I want to do is hug them. Like the last time I went to Ace, all I wanted to do was hug my friend Amy, and I can't because we're like masked up and shield and
It's
all this
distant
other
hugging.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
the people that I finally do trust, that are part of my tribe, that I, feel comfortable with, you need that energy exchange, and we're not doing it right now.
I mean, it's a proven fact. Like we need physical contact. Like it's good for our mental health. It's good for our body. And so I know it's been extremely rough on people, and I agree. Like I miss hanging out at my friends' houses, just shooting the shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm friends with a lot of like gamers and stuff like that. And so like my husband plays Magic the Gathering and things like that. So I'm used to like a bunch of boys hanging out, being loud and drinking and like playing cards, and like I love that. Mm-hmm. I miss that. I miss having a house full of that. And like going to their houses, So yeah, I miss that.
My husband has been playing D&D and Hackmaster since the 70s. And so we grew, we had a pack of my son's friends in high school. And I think that was really my husband's way of trying to keep him out of other things in high school, to kind of redirect him. And so we've done full on movie nerd family, comic family. I mean, we're all about that, and gaming family. And here's the truth nobody knows. I love Settlers of Catan.
So my husband and three of his oldest friends will play that. Like a lot. It's one of their go-tos.
Yeah. Our old house in Texas, we have an 11-foot table, and it would be filled with people. And I don't know if they're playing Munchkin cards, if they're doing, whatever it is they're doing. I mean, we just constant. I tried to play, and then I was just like, I could be doing laundry. For me, but I would like to cook for them, and I liked hearing all of the banter that was around it.
That's my favorite. I love the banter.
Yeah, it's a beautiful energy, and like that is missing. But now everything's online. My husband still has I think he plays on Tuesdays and Thursdays now.
Yeah.
So I still kind of hear that banter, and it's nice, but it's
not quite the same.
It's not the same.
It's not quite the same as, it's 2 a.m. and you're yelling at two grown men to stop fighting or take it outside.
I will say, that there was the last time that I decided that I was going to play, and I think it was really for my husband to be just like, look, okay, I'll do something you want me to do. Yeah. I get in there. I am like some sort of like elf. Was that elf? I think it was an elf. I was some sort of elf, and there was a bugbear, and I said, okay, roll. And I got a 20, and I jumped and stabbed it in the heart and killed it.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm out. Drop the bike. I got laundry to do.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Well,
yeah, no, I love D&D. My husband actually just got a bunch of 5th edition books because I had been more 3.5.
Okay.
But when I was younger, my brother played 2.0. So like it's always been around, and I always wanted to learn, but he wouldn't teach me. And yeah. And then there was an age gap, so he was out of the house, and then it was just me. So I would like read through all the books, but you can't really play the game by yourself.
No.
So so did that. And then 3.5 was like that's usually my go-to. And now we're just learning 5.0. He got a bunch of those books, and we're like reading through the setup and how it goes.
Do you get the new Tasha's Cauldron?
I think he got that, yeah.
Yeah, it's apparently a very good book.
Yeah. I haven't been able to look through them yet. Like he's still like in like hoarding mode. So, and he's, for those who don't know, he's a Sag Scorpio. So like, I'm not fighting him for those books. I'll get them when they're sat down on the table for open, because we know now that that's where that is, that I will pick up a book and read it all. So,
yeah. If I want to see things, I'm going to leave it out on the table for you.
Yeah, just leave it on the table. It's fine.
On the table.
Fair game.
What else are you working What else are you working on? I know that you said that you took a month off, so you've got a lot of your Patreon and stuff or whatever. And I have to give you props for all of those Patreon people out there, because that is a schedule that I cannot even imagine. I couldn't do it.
It gets hectic some months. Like this month, I am slower on content. Usually I have more content out by now. It's been an interesting retrograde. And I've had some health stuff. But I'm finally feeling better and like getting onto that. But yeah, it like, the thing with Patreon though is really you can define how much you do on it, because you're the one that gets to set it up, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's even a setting where you can do per thing, like Ask a Mortician, Caitlin Dowdy. She has a Patreon. I'm part of it, and she has it set so that, or at least she did. I'm not sure if she still does, but she has it set so that every time she releases a video, it's like that much for that. It's like an individual thing instead of like a monthly thing. And then now they also have yearly, where like people can come in and pay for like a certain tier for the year, just all at once and be done, and then coast through on that. Yeah. And what ends up happening is they get like a percentage off because they paid for the year.
Okay.
So yeah, so like there's a lot of versatility on Patreon now in terms of like how things are charged and how you deliver content and like how it's bunched together and what your deadlines are and that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Patreon. So Patreon is still going. Like, I know I haven't been on here publicly a lot, but like I'm steady on Patreon. I have a Discord. I've had a Discord running since February of last year. So like we might be at the year.
You might be at the year.
And that's been really awesome. Like I love the Discord. I love being able to like share and also watch other people that I talk to like relate to each other and like find community, especially right now.
Yeah.
Like with everything going on, like that's just, I don't know, it gives me happy feels. So yeah, no, I love Discord too. I really love Discord. It's great.
Got me in a Discord, and like it was at like the worst possible time for me, and I was like overwhelmed with what I already had, and I'm just like, damn it, Noah, making me learn something new. It's just like I feel like he's like I'm Lestat and he's my Louis, and he kind of like keeps me walking. And so him and Snow are always like, hey, have you tried this? I'm like, I'm tired, people.
Yeah, you know, and like, so what I think of when I think of Discord, because I'm older. Okay. So older than most people probably think I am.
I'm 46.
Okay. So I'm 37.
Okay.
But people usually think that I'm way younger, so I'm 37. I'm not saying that that's like really old, but like
I would say 28.
Yeah.
30.
I'm 37. And what I like in Discord too is like this generation's Yahoo chats.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see that.
How Yahoo chats had like the separate chat rooms that you could click into, you know, and people were in there, and there was like voice in it and stuff. Like, it basically reminds me of Yahoo chats, but like this generation's version.
Okay, I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Noah, send me a link again.
Yes. Yeah. And I used to frequent the Yahoo chat because they had karaoke night.
Oh,
yeah, where they would like take turns getting on the mic, like people would line up and then you would tag out and switch the mic over, but then people would hog the mic because they were trolling, and then you had to ban those and then start over again.
Oh my god!
And there were like 5 Mariah Carey heroes being sung, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you had some Celine, you know.
And some yeah.
Yeah. No, I loved Yahoo chat back in the day. But yeah, when I got on here, I was like, oh, this is basically Yahoo chat, but like this generation. Got it. Okay, cool. I can roll with this.
Let me know. Can we do karaoke through this Discord situation?
Yeah. I mean, like you can. I mean, there's voice. There's voice chat. You can totally do that.
Look, oh, he put the link up. He put the link up, people.
Discord link. Yes.
Thanks, Noe. I love you.
Yes. Yeah. So like for those who don't know what we're talking about, Discord is a program or an app. You can put it on your phone or your computer, and it's chat rooms. So there's text, but there's also voice and webcam abilities. So you can like go into separate channels or rooms for those of us like chat rooms back in the day. And you can put that in. You can also put pictures in there, different things. Like for ours, we have a lot of events that we do. Okay. So with 2020 and all of that and everybody being shut in, I ended up doing a bunch of events, and that's something that my assistant helps me with. And so like during the weekday, I have my death tent rituals, which is ancestral ritual stuff. So I have 2 of those a month. Then I have the Ask Me Anything live show. And then I have, like you can ask me anything. It could be like, what kind of socks should I wear? What socks are you wearing? How do we use socks in magical practice, Cris? Well, I don't know. Let's figure it out. And then the weirder, the better. Yeah, sure. And then there's also, what am I thinking of? Oh, and then once a month we'll either have like a Zoom hangout or a workshop, depending on which one I feel like is needed more. Because sometimes I think people just need some time to be in community together, and that's pretty healing. And then other times it's like, let's learn shit.
Let's learn shit. Yep.
So that flips. But then we have like for the lower tiers for everybody, there's like game nights and movie nights, and there's a Stitch and Bitch where people craft together and they get on like camera and voice and they just talk while they're making things, whatever it is. And like there's an intention setting circle. There's like all kinds of things that are like community stuff for people to like, you know, connect and not feel alone, because right now it's really easy to feel alone.
Yeah.
I upped the event game basically to like at least like, but if they are busy and they can't partake, then that's totally fine. But like at least there's somewhere to go, you know.
That's how we go. Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. Big time.
The movie nights are really fun because it's literally like hanging out on your couch. Like you get your snacks and your fuzzy blanket, and like I have my hoodie pulled up and we're watching stuff. Yeah. So no, you could totally do karaoke on there. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening. No, give me a thumbs up.
But sorry, you were saying something about learning. I was going to ask you, it prompted me to ask the question. Aiden and I were in conversation about you, knowing that you were coming up and all that stuff. No, it's good. It's all good. Okay. But you're saying that you provide classes and things like that, or like you said, workshops or whatever, but is there like courses that you can take via is it Patreon, or is it through your website, or how does that work? And if there's a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple. So like via the Patreon, the 5th tier, so tier 5, because there's 6 tiers. The tier 5, once a month, there's like a lesson that's released on an ongoing topic. Right now, we're on Ancestral Work 102. I already have an Ancestral Work 101 that's out, and I actually just recently updated it in the fall. It's one of the first things that I ever wrote when I started my business. And I just like recently rehashed it, obviously, and added stuff. There's like video and like a frequently asked questions area and all of that. So that's one thing, the workshop. There's another workshop on my website that is about hearth blessings and like working that magic into your home, like different ways in a mundane sense to work that in. And that also talks about like if you're moving into a new home or something and wanting to cleanse it and like make it yours and that kind of thing as well.
Gotcha.
Because you can't bless something unless, you know, you're like, everybody else get the fuck out. It's not as effective.
Down to earth.
It's not as effective. Might have a little bit of a problem there, you know.
Might be a little problem.
Yeah. And then there is another one on the magical art of self-expression, which is using color form, like lines, curves, shapes, textures, things like that, whether it's in your home or in your fashion, your style, whatever, your makeup. And also like the color correlations with zodiacs and planetary things and all that one has like, it's like real packed. I was talking very fast, so I'm glad that it is a recorded video. But so those are things that were workshops, not the ancestral one, but the other two were workshops via my Patreon. And what happened is those get recorded and then they get put onto the website with like an added PDF and stuff. And yeah, and so basically my Patreon people are also providing me feedback. They're allowing me to see any like blind spots maybe that I forgot to mention, so I can put that in the PDF. Like they're helping me make content by fueling that discussion and showing up, which is like something I'm really grateful for. But at the same time, they're getting all this information and you know, the experience of things. So yeah, no, so there's that. And then in the past on Patreon, I've done there was an entire course on Finrear that isn't up on my website just yet, but it's completed and just needs to be put up there. Again, I say I've been booked. And then yeah, and then also Hell the Forgotten Mother. There's been a course that's been completed since like last year. Middle of last year, beginning of last year. Yeah, because then I started Finrear. So easily beginning of last year at least. And it's all about Hel, who I work with, the goddess Hel, the Norse goddess. And it's very much about exploring what your version of her is and your relation to her is, and not necessarily like these are her correspondences, because honestly, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Like different people are different. She's going to want different things from different people, and different people also have other things to offer, you know? Yeah. So like it's going to change. And not only that, she's death. Death comes to us all very differently. We experience it differently. So anyway, though, so yeah, so that's something that is needing to go up on the website as well. And so that was also something that was a course that was completed through tier 5, just like at a time. And what'll happen is, as I do this, anyone who leaves comments or questions underneath, like I work that into the framework as it's being built, so that I can make sure that that gets addressed, so that when it's released, it's a more rounded thing. Because like I can speak from experience of what I know, but it also helps having like a soundboard of other people that are curious about things and knowing like what they're looking for or what they're wondering about, like what's on their mind. And so it also helps me as much as it helps them. And they get early access, basically.
So tier 5 is what
yeah.
5 is like the popular kids. They're the cool kids.
So at tier 5, all right, wait. So tier 1, indulge me here. Okay. So tier 1, because I have to work it this way because otherwise I just forget. So tier 1 is access to the Discord. And it's the death scope, which is something that I do that is it's cards and it's like any impressions that I'm getting, energy that I'm feeling about kind of the month. It's like a forecast. Okay. And I do it for each of the elements of the zodiac. Okay. And then talk about like the ancestral advice on that and that kind of thing. And then, so that's tier 1. And then tier 2 is a podcast. It's any little behind the scenes things. There's this thing on Patreon called Lens, and it's kind of like the videos on Instagram, like the little clips. Yeah. And so like I'll pop on and share like parts of my life or like little update things like that on there. You have access to that. And then should I ever like upload anything to YouTube, you get like a week advance heads up and you get early access to it. Okay. Tier 3 is all of that, right? They all include whatever's before it. Is also a video on a topic of some sort. And then it's an altar, which I do altarscapes, which is like, it's meditative altarscapes. So I create an altar for a certain energy that I feel like is needed. And there's this just relaxing video where you can, I see it as like a portable sacred space or a portable temple that you can like take with you anywhere, anytime you need it. And so there's that. And then tier 4 is the live Ask Me Anythings. and the workshop / hangout, whatever that is that month, plus everything below it. Tier 5 is the death tents, so the 2 death tents that are ancestral rituals where we journey, like we drum and journey to them to seek healing and advice and et cetera, to connect with them. And that's twice a month. And then there's also the course that's being built as well. So right now it's Ancestral 102. And then the top tier is usually sold out. It's pretty high demand. It's all of those other things, but it's also a mentorship that is like more than half off. I forget how much is the percentage now. I think it's like 60% off. So it's like a very cheap version. And the reason I did that is because obviously I had to limit it because of time. Like, I would love to have all the time in the world. That'd be great. Do you think I'm a Capricorn? Are you kidding me? I would love to do all the things. But that is not how that works. But what I did, the reason I did that is because I realized that not everybody has the money to be able to have a service like that, but that doesn't mean that they don't need it, right? Or like that they don't want it or they aren't in need. And so I did that to provide that space so that if someone did, there was another way to have that. And gotcha. So basically I don't do like waiting lists on it. I don't do any of that. How it runs is if someone drops and you caught it, that's meant for you to have. Like, you will get the heads up, you will find it somehow. I trust that will happen and you'll nab it and we'll do work together. But like, that was the reason that I created that. So yeah, that's my Patreon. It's a lot of things. And then like the higher you go, also there's certain things like tier 5 also, or tier 4, I think it is, gives you access to like the intention setting circle event and things like that. But most of the events are tier 1 in Discord, like available to people. Mm-hmm. The only ones that aren't are like the ones that I just said in the tiers and the like the intention setting circle, basically.
Wow.
So yeah, and there's a book club too. We're reading Matt Oren's Psychic Witch.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that is so much stuff. I gotta hand it to you because I feel like, on my day, just trying to have enough energy to go to work, get here, schedule this stuff, do that. When am I working on products? Like I feel just so, fractured, most of the time. So to take that type of platform, and not only are you doing your Discord, but you're also doing all of that Patreon stuff.
Yeah.
Plus everything else that you're, servicing all of your customers at the same time. That's a lot. That's a lot of organizational skills. I have to say, the Virgo in me is like, I am not worthy. Like, that's really awesome.
But you know what is the thing too, though, is like I have like assistance that helps immensely.
Yeah.
Because I have someone who, if it's a weekend thing, like they are someone who has trained under me for a long time, and they are able to hold those things for the weekends because I'm off on weekends. I don't work weekends. It's part of my policy so that I get to spend time with my husband and my family, because what's the point in like making the money in at least on that part if you can't enjoy your time with your family just as much as helping people, right. Which I love to do. And I would be doing that where I worked regardless. So I might as well be making my own schedule with it. Right.
You do. You don't work outside. You don't work for another company or anything like that.
No, you're able I am full time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There is no way in hell.
They're dreams for me, people. Yeah. I am like trying so hard to like bring my.
It took a while
to, I'm just trying to get to the next level so that. Because when we moved here, we really wanted me to go more part-time, and this was supposed to be a part-time. And then they weaseled their way in, and I'm like, how did I get here again? Like, how did I get here again? It's like I want to do I have to move every single time to restart? No. But it just seems I'm a workhorse. I love to work.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I get it. I like literally one of the things that my assistant does is yell at me to stop working. That's like literally part of the job description. Hey, if you still see me on past this time on these days, like just fucking yell at me. Thanks.
One day, people, I'm going to do the same. Maybe not all of what she's doing. You go to her for that. You go to her.
No, like, but the thing is with the full time and all of that, like, that wasn't something that I just started doing. It was a complete process. Like, I used to work at a job. People are probably sick of me telling this story at this point, but like,
Caitlin says, and she also reminds you to eat.
That is a thing too, because again, workaholic. I will totally work right by lunch and not even realize, and then I look up and it's like the end of the day, and I'm like, crap.
You're like, why am I hands shaking?
You can't see this, but like, there's definitely like just snacks around me because I don't know when I'm gonna get up from this chair. So I just kind of put it within reach to remind myself. Yeah.
Well, are you open to questions? We've hit almost we're almost at an hour here, but I know that we went on a little bit late, but I know that a lot of people jumped in here to see you. So if anybody has questions for Cris, please put them in bold and I will bring them up on the screen and we continue talking until a question comes through. But you got a lot of loving in here. And I did see that Crimson Fire came in.
I was about to say, hi, Crimson. I love your face. I miss talking to you.
Crimson has agreed to be one of my guests, but I think that it's going to be more of April timeframe, if I am correct, because I am taking 2 weeks off from this Truth Talk, because let me just tell you, sometimes it gets a little intense.
Yeah.
I have an anniversary coming and I have a live sale to prep for. So 2 weeks off at the end of March. So Crimson, answer your messages.
Come on, Fire.
I love you. I love you.
Oh my gosh.
The cheeses again. So I don't know what is going on.
Okay, so here's the thing with the cheese. I love cheese, guys.
I love some cheese too. I'm a big girl. I got some curves.
Love cheese. Like, my nickname when I was younger was like the big cheese. Like you could buy the big blocks of cheese and I would just eat them like just straight. And no, I don't get constipated because that's usually the next question. It doesn't affect me. Which is a blessing because I love cheese. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. I love cheese. Oh, what's your favorite cheese?
Okay, top 3, definitely feta in there. I love feta. It's like salty and just so feta and Monterey or pepper jack. I love pepper jack. And Munster. I like Munster because I like it on sandwiches. It's very creamy. But my favorite is feta. I love all Mediterranean food or like Lebanese food of any sort. Like, that's my favorite.
Oh yes.
The garlic sauce. The garlic sauce. I would bathe in the garlic sauce. So good. I would probably get like all kinds of infections because you shouldn't do that. But the garlic sauce. So tasty. Love it.
My favorite cheeses would be blue. Blue cheese. I like a stinky cheese. I like a stinky cheese. I love it. And especially if you can slice some pear, put some blue cheese, and drizzle some honey. That's a yummy snack right there. Yum, yum. And it's something about those flavor combinations. You know, I'm like Ratatouille, the little mouse going, whoa, it's a taste explosion.
Yeah.
It is delicious. I like Havarti.
Havarti. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think about that one. Yeah.
Like that creaminess on a sandwich is delish. And I guess a cheddar. I like a cheddar.
A good cheddar is good.
A good old cheddar. I like a some cheddar.
Do you like a mild, a medium, or a sharp, or extra sharp?
Sharp. I'm like a Sharpie.
Yes, I like the sharp. Yes, it's very good in like mac and cheese. Like a good sharp in that.
Okay. Yes. Now mac and cheese. I add blue cheese to my mac and cheese.
Ooh, I never thought of that.
Very earthy. It's very earthy, and we have a local bar here that does it. And I'm just like, I need to do this. Yeah. Like, it's delicious. Woo.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm thinking about that. All right.
Think about that. And there's also camisola, if you haven't heard of camisola.
I haven't heard. No, to go on.
It's like a blue cheese and a brie mixed together. This is amazing stuff.
That sounds very earthy.
It is good. You can't eat too much of it though, because you're going to be like,
no, I bet.
My favorite
my favorite thing to do is to get this is not what I thought I'd be talking about on Truth Talk, y'all. Anyway, my favorite thing to do is to get a plate and do like some cherries, some blackberries, some raspberries, like fresh, like, berries, and then some crackers, and then like sliced cheese. Oh, no. What I really love is putting feta and then like a drizzle of olive oil and then Italian seasoning on it.
Yum.
And then like eating that with the cracker or with the, yeah. And my favorite crackers are Clubhouse because they're buttery.
Crackers, yes. That's the thing. To get the buttery. It's a little bit of the butter.
Yes.
Okay.
So good.
Where do you see your business moving forward now after your break, Cris?
Just wait a minute. Like, this is all fancy. It's across the screen. Like, I love that.
This is why I love StreamYard.
I'm through StreamYard. Okay. Where do I see it moving after my break? Well, one of the things that I'd like to do is I would really like to come back like into the public eye more with a podcast. Mm-hmm. And it would be something that is very community driven, conversational, because that's who I am. That's what I do. That's what I love doing. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I would be leaning into for sure. I am also building in the works right now an ancestral priestess training course, which will be like a hands-on for as much as it can be, you know what I mean? Because like COVID and long distance, but that'll be something where like people will be certified under the stuff that I do, like how I work with ancestors, and be able to do the service that I'm doing, like for others, essentially, but in their own way, right? Because everybody has their own way of doing it.
I want in. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it.
Well, there's no waiting list yet. Like it's still, I'm structuring it out and everything. Like I am actively working on it. It's coming along really cool. There'll be like a whole mantle and thing that you get with it. And like, there's a whole process. And the premise is to like really work 365 days, like with the ancestors, like to have it be a daily practice where you're connecting with them in all the forms, not just like humans as we think of them, but there's lots of other links to that, obviously. Wow. Princeton knows what I'm talking about. and so that's something that I'm working on and moving towards. So basically it'll be like, I have the Ancestral 101, the Ancestral 102. This would essentially form as the Ancestral 103, but it would be the certification into doing that and basically like doing the ancestral sessions that I do for people, like helping provide, because I'm one person. I can't like reach all those people, but people need that kind of healing. Like I've witnessed that. So I figure the more people that I help to be able to find that in them and like carry that forward for other people and hold that space, the better, because they're going to be able to reach even more.
Whoa. Okay. Well, so I know what I'm going to be.
That's where I see it going.
Yeah. I know
retreats one day when COVID is not a thing.
Yes. One of the things we do is witchy meet and greets, and my witchy meet and greet was canceled because of COVID last year. And like I had tickets and a whole dinner and a whole thing all planned, and we will get back there, people. We will. I believe it to be so. And
the witches in the woods and like all of that had to be postponed as well, and like turned into like a Zoom thing or a YouTube thing. And like, I know there were so many plans, and it's unfortunate, but it will happen.
It's unfortunate, but I also look at it like, okay, this is what the universe wanted for us. And, a lot of us were forced back into, sort of a shadow mode. And I put myself in counseling because there were things that I could no longer deny. And that has been really, really good. And highs and lows with all of it, of course, but maybe, I have referenced this before, but there was a meme that saying 2020 was the year I thought I was going to get everything. And 2020 showed me what I really needed. And so there's certain things that you just sort of tap in, you take for granted, you get busy with your life. And it really forced us to slow down. And I mean, look at my kid. My kid decided, look, I'm tired of all this other stuff. I really feel that I need, I'm going trans. Like,
Yeah.
and we had so much
Yeah.
time to like think about it. There's no hiding from yourself anymore. When you're so distracted and you're so busy and you're overperforming and overdoing, you get lost in it. You just get so lost in it. So having that time to just like, yeah.
Absolutely. I know, like for myself, a lot of it was really looking to the priorities of where I spend my energy, like what I spend my energy on. I know a lot of people were looking at like their connections with people, how they were spending their time. Like, and what I mean by that is like the actions that you're filling your day with.
Yeah.
The thoughts that you're filling your day with, the things you're filling your environment with, like even physically. All of those things kind of came into like a very clear place for me. And so a lot of it for me was learning to really nitpick through my environment and like not settle or autopilot, but to like selectively choose the things that I do want right in that moment, or where I do want to spend that, because that feeds me. And also noticing as well my connections with other people and like where that feeds me or where it doesn't, and like also where I'm feeding them, or maybe I'm not, and I know that. And so either am I able to do that and feed them, or is this something I'm not willing to do? And I think a lot of people were having that with family, with friends, with themselves, and like the things that, their relationship with themselves. Like, I think that happened a lot. I know my cards, it was really weird because I was like, how the hell is this going to work? My cards for the year for 2020 were the Sun and Wheel of Fortune.
Whoa.
So here's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, the sun, that's so great. Yeah. Not when your shadow is like being in the light. The sun can be scary because there's so much happiness that you have to be open to it, and you have to learn to be open. And so a lot of 2020 for me was learning to be open, to take those chances, to not hide, to show up.
Oh, yeah.
For myself and for others.
Oh, that's really deep.
Yeah, it was hard. And I'm still working through it. I think it's going to be like a lifelong thing, but it was intense.
Dude. I feel like Spicoli. Yeah. Dude. I like Oh, okay. All right. Kristen has a question for you. What is your most potent devotional practice, and with
potent?
The breath.
Right, because I have a lot of them in different ways, right? So like, for instance, the Luxunis Sisterhood that I work with, they work with something called One Energy.
Okay.
And One Energy is hard to explain in a brief synopsis, but it's not just like source energy, it's bigger than that. So like, we're talking like planetary kind of like starseed shit. Anyway, we'll just leave it at that. And that has been very life-changing, at least like within 2020. And like, since we were on that topic already, like what I was talking about with showing up and all that has literally changed my energy. I feel like if you look at a video of me in the beginning of last year and then see videos that I'm making now, like you can tell my energy shift. I just feel more me, like freely. And it's not that I was trying to not be me, but I just am more comfortable in myself now. And that's been like hard fought, but that's what we're doing. So that's one of the things, is like the devotional relationship that I have in terms of like One Energy and working with that, which is like opening portal to it, spending time in that like astral temple, and like, attuning myself and like clearing things out and keeping everything in tip-top shape and receiving guidance there. And then also my ancestors always, like, don't get me wrong, I love my gods and goddesses, but the ancestors have always been a big foundation. Like when I spoke to no one, I had them in my room and I was speaking to them, So for me, the ancestors and devotionally, I would say it's this is going to sound like a cop-out answer, but like it's living my life like in every moment and trying to stay in it as much as I can because I'm not promised it, and that's what they remind me of. Right? Yeah. So like because I'm not, and like 2020 especially reminds you of it too. Like because I'm not promised that, it's important for me to responsibly be in the moment as much as I can.
Gotcha.
And for me, that is an act of devotion because it's in their honor that I do that, but it's also in my honor, which is a reflection of them too. It's like a whole big circle.
Beautiful.
Like a feedback loop.
Beautiful. That's gorgeous, actually. That's just gorgeous. Being your full-on authentic self. Like I was doing some editing on YouTube. I went on there and I'm like, YouTube's changed. Let me go look around. And like I stumbled on my very first video and it's just like, hi.
Oh my God. My first video is very similar. My first video is with this fuzzy camera. I'm like so soft-spoken because I'm like terrified. The whole reason I even did the video was because I had moved to Toledo. I'm originally from Virginia, and I moved to Ohio, which is why I get a little Southern sometimes. And like, it was my way of updating my mother because we're very close. So like, it was my way of like showing her how I am and that I'm okay and like talking about things, but also finding a connection to a pagan community somewhere, whether it was like physically in Ohio or like online. Because the one that I had grown up around, I wasn't around anymore. And that's what YouTube was originally for me. It was a point of connection and trying to keep my mom update. Oh, I love your poncho sweater. Thinking I also missed your face. Your fabulous. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah. So this is from my mother or my sister-in-law.
It's cute.
So here's the thing, guys. If you compliment people, you get shit. So this is what happened. Listen. She had this for a couple years, and every time I'd see her, I'd comment on how beautiful it was because I loved it. It's great. And so finally one day we're going to like a winter outing or something, and she's wearing it, and she's like, you know what? Have it. After today, just take it home with you. And I was like, are you serious? Like, it's really pretty, but it's yours. And she's like, no, because this is only like the second or third time I've worn it. Just fucking take it. So like,
you're like, yes, I'll take it. Speaking of ponchos, I was watching the Fab Five the other day, and I saw that Jonathan, I love them too. Talk about, I mean, you want to be in the fields and you want to like connect.
Every time. The one with the older woman who was like really active in her church and she told everybody to call her mama. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Waterworks. Oh my God. Because she reminded me so much of back home. Like so much of the people I grew up with. And like, I couldn't. I was like, damn it, Jonathan.
Jonathan, you know, and I tried to, I'm like, who do I love the most? And I'm like, I can't.
It's so hard to pick.
I can't pick. I love them all. But Jonathan was wearing this poncho. It was like a Burberry poncho with like a rainbow through it. And I'm like, I need to hunt this down. Like I'm not a fashionista by any means whatsoever. I like to thrift shop and I like Old Navy. But
I grew up on thrift shop. I love thrift shops. That's where you find some of your best ritual tools, man.
True. But I gotta find this poncho.
This working candle. Everybody always asks me about my working candle.
Yeah.
Guess what? This is 2 thrift pieces.
Yep.
This was like $1. And this doesn't even have a sticker on it anymore, but it's like got the zodiac on it and it's brass. Yeah.
I got this big old piece.
Ooh, that's pretty.
To replace white candle. So I usually do black candle, white candle with this guy on here. And it's
and it's got like the 5 swirls in it for like 5 points. That's, I like that.
Yeah, love it. Oh,
yes.
Put it back there. I hope it doesn't drop. There you go. All right. We got one more question here. I thought I did. Maybe I already saw this one. I'm sorry if I'm out of order. If I have missed your question, please let me know.
Yes. So, okay, what's your method of finding your card of the year? So for me, it kind of finds me, like it starts stalking me. Like a lot. You guys ever have those certain cards that just like you put it back in the deck and it's like, surprise, it's me again.
It's the tower. It's the tower.
And you're like, I don't want to see you, go away.
The tower for me every single time. It's like, should I pay for this reading or do I just look at the tower card? What's gonna be?
Tower card's like, I'm giving you a free reading. What are you doing?
Yeah.
No, so for me, like, and I want to say like not just a week or so, because that could be something that's like situational in the moment. But what I will do is I will ask, like, once it gets about like a month or two beforehand, sometimes like I will ask formally, or a lot of times I don't even have to ask, it just starts showing up. But it's something that'll show up for like a phase of your life, right? It's not sort of like a week or two. It's like, a couple months now, this has been like really hunting you down. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is clearly an energy that like is some kind of like transition point or something that is calling my name. Like when my dad died, the death card was stalking me. Even beyond when I was, and obviously from my dad dying, like I also then became a death midwife. I was also suicidal after my dad's death. Yeah. So like death and the concept of that and the importance of living life and like what I wanted my death to be like and like how I honored his and like all of those things and like how to deal with others with death, which is what you learn as a death midwife, and also like literally that as like post-mortem dealing, like tending to the body as well. So like that element of it, like death was just all around me. So like that death card stalked me. As a matter of fact, that death card came up like before my dad happened. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then it just the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that one stuck around for a couple of years. When I was younger, the Hermit came around a lot. I was someone who stayed in my room a lot. And I basically just wrote poetry and played music. Like I play guitar. And I would do that, or I would read astrology books. Like that was how I spent my time, or listen to music. I would hunt down music on Napster back in the day.
Oh, Napster.
Yeah. So the Hermit, obviously, it was a very like a lot of that was introspective. So the Hermit made sense. So yeah, and then for a while it was the Priestess when I was learning to like come to terms with the P word.
Yep. Coming to terms with the P word.
The P word.
How did you end up being a death midwife? Because that's something that I knew about you, but I had forgotten to ask in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, deaf. In short, no. So the actual process of it, I had met my teacher, Angie Buchanan. I had met her previously in a pagan festival where she gave a workshop on death midwifery and like talked a little bit about it and some of the ways that like someone who maybe isn't certified could still hold space for someone who is dying and like, have that presence there or like hold vigil, that kind of thing. And at the time I was with my mom, who is a nurse, and I turned to her and I was like, this sounds more up your alley because this touchy-feely shit I ain't in. Which is real funny because I have a Cancer moon. So who's in denial, bitch?
Yeah, but I know. I just remembered that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I have a Cancer moon. Yeah. So the universe was like, oh yeah, suck it. And So what ended up happening is my dad very suddenly, like we're talking like within a week, was like he had cancer. It was really bad. He went septic, and I drove to get him. The whole way driving there were two giant like ravens like guiding me, like, and I made it there like faster than my brother who flew.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the whole, it's interesting because I'm the youngest of 9. 11 if we count the 2 where we don't even know where they are, but that's a whole other side story. So I'm from the country. We got interesting family stories. But no, so in that room, and it was hard enough to get all 9 of us together, but in that room, watching all of us come to terms with my dad dying, as like we could watch his body changing and like the blood pooling at the base and like him getting colder and his face sinking in and like his breathing shallowing, and like death was a very, very real thing. It's not just sort of this metaphysical, metaphorical thing. It is also a very real sense, and seeing it physically and then watching and like energetically feeling all of my siblings in their own way trying to work through that, and this like kind of eye of the storm feeling.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. It was almost like have you seen the video Thank You by Alanis Morissette? Where she's like standing, but like the whole room is just like blurs of light going by her, and like she's very still. That's what it felt like. And I didn't know what it was at the time. But I knew that like there was something to this, like obviously I was sad and I was mourning my father, but also there was something like really poignant and outside of time and space that was happening. And I couldn't quite put my finger on what. Yeah.
Wow.
And so like I then right after that we got back, we bought a house, I got promoted. There was like a bunch of good things that also happened around that time, but there was a lot of change all at once. April always does that for me. Something about April. But in the process of that, I realized that the job that I had, that I'd been at for 9 years and was a manager, I'd worked my way up, I hated. Like, felt like I was betraying myself every day that I went in. Hated.
I understand.
And I knew that, combined with like the realization of like, death being on that doorstep and being like a very real thing, that one day my cheeks will sink in, the blood will pool in my body, and my breathing will shallow.
Yeah.
Is this how I want to die?
Wow.
And that shit's heavy. Like I sat with that for a while. Like I said, I was suicidal. My poor husband was like basically force feeding me because I didn't eat. I didn't shower. I would come home, wear my uniform, go to bed, like just sleep on the bed, and then get up and do the same thing again for a long time. So, he's been there the whole time. I love him dearly and am so lucky to have him because he was also there when my dad took his last breath. So he's been a rock in many ways. But in all of that, and actually the suicidal thing, Charlie says go. She was the one who helped me through that. She knew like the perfect thing to say at the perfect time, and just kind of like shifted my mindset on a lot of things. But so it's something I'm very grateful to her for. But I remembered in all of this because I was looking up death. I was trying to figure out what that feeling was. And like, I knew that it obviously had something to do with death, duh, but like, what was that? People didn't talk about that. And my, even right down to, sorry to go back, but like, even right down to, we opened the window, like my brother, who is very much a like good old boy Christian dude, he opened the window not thinking, to let the spirit out, which is an old tradition. My mother totally snuck in some herbs and did a little burning in
I like your mom. I like her.
and had everyone like gather around the bed and just kind of like say words. Like I read do not stand at my grave and weep.
Because I am not there.
Yep. And as I finished it, a breeze picked up and the birds started chattering outside the window. Oh
man, I just got goosebumps all over. Yeah.
And between those two things, I was like, okay, there's something more to this. I need to look at this. But at first I had to like deal with all the processing. So somewhere in this, I remembered Angie Buchanan. I remembered her talking about stuff like that. And I remembered like her saying like everybody mourns in very different ways. Like they grieve in very different ways. And that was part of the death midwife. And I realized like, you know, my siblings do not all get along. We all have our issues and our histories with each other. But there was a realization that happened to me that in that moment, as much as some of us like didn't like each other, we still had each other. And there were people that were dying that either were by themselves dying.
Okay.
Or there was one person alive standing at their bed dealing with this alone.
Yeah.
And that realization kind of like hit me real hard. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons I say you are never alone, because for me, like, yes, the ancestors are there and they're greeting them on the other side, but the person that's living doesn't always know that as they're sitting by that person's bedside.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they're overwhelmed with funeral arrangements and all kinds of things, and like knowing what should or shouldn't be done and what the protocol is, and and it's overwhelming. And at least I had, 9 people and my mom and the ancestors, because I also knew that they were there. I felt them. Yeah. Our family dog who had passed away was there.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And so that was part of what drove me to become a death midwife, because as a death midwife, you can help with that. You become a liaison of sorts, as someone who kind of knows a little bit of the different things and is kind of like an in-between place, so that you can help guide them and help, give them a place to vent if they need to, or to feel safe either way, or like to be a go-between if the two people talking, like maybe one doesn't want to admit that they're dying, but we need information like social security stuff or passwords, because let's be realistic. Yeah, you need that. Yeah. And so a death midwife is someone who would come in and be that person where you don't have to have that conversation. Tell me what you need. I will go speak with them.
I'll get it for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it's easier to talk to someone like yourself in that situation, because the person that is dying knows that the people around, there's all these siblings, they don't get along, and you're going to tell one person this and you're going to tell one person that. It's like, well, how come you didn't tell me? And there's that whole side of that, which I've dealt with in families, where it's just like, how come Uncle Joe gave me this but didn't even tell me about that. Like, my dad had sent me clothes of my grandmother, but I wasn't really close to my grandmother, and because my dad was like, well, that's my kid, I will pass it down to them, I ended up on the backside sending it to my cousin, who was raised by our grandmother. I'm like, here, Sarah, you're the one that needs this. Right. But my dad and her didn't have a good conversation or relationship at that time. Well, they still don't, but it's just some of those things. It's like, well, I know it's been given to me, but it's not mine.
There was something with my dad. So my dad was a hat guy, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he was also very proud of his Native heritage. And so he had hats out the wazoo, like Native Pride, Vietnam Vet, like all the pins on it and everything that you collect, and like the feathers with the Vietnam like colors painted on it and everything down the stem. And there was one hat in particular, his Native Pride hat, that I was like, I want that hat. I don't like anything else. It doesn't matter. I just want that hat.
Just want that hat.
Yeah, that's all I want. And so I got that. And then my mom also passed on his Palmia hat, his POWMIA. And what I did with that was one of my oldest nieces hadn't been able to be around. She lives in Indiana, and hasn't always been very close with all of the family and that kind of thing. But my dad always adored her, loved her dearly. And so what happened is I ended up giving that hat to her. because she's in Indiana, I'm in Ohio. And so I was like, yeah, you should have something of his. Like, that's, yeah. Like, I literally wanted this one hat here. So, no, that happens a lot where like things get kind of passed to where it needs, but there's also times where it doesn't. And those are situations where it's like, ideally you want to talk about that stuff beforehand. But
because
some people don't like talking about it beforehand or are scared to talk about it as if it's like going to bring it on. It's going to happen anyway, but like, I get it. Emotions, people are complicated. But yeah, so like I ended up contacting Angie Buchanan. It turned out that there was a death midwife class starting like in 2 months or something like that. She doesn't do them that often. And so it was a lot of money. And so I was like, okay, here's what's up, universe. You've been stalking me with this damn death card. All of these things happening. Bring me that money.
Yeah.
And I will do this. If I'm meant to do this, bring me that money.
Gotcha.
And my husband, who plays Magic the Gathering, won a tournament for the exact amount. That was that, and brought it home and went, go do the death midwife thing.
What a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so I went there, and that was, I believe it was 4 days. It was intensive. We stayed in the hotel and used the conference room. There was like an exam at the end. There was an altar that was set the whole time in remembrance of those who have passed on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. Hands-on training, book training, videos, all kinds of stuff. Angie is a professor, so she knows how to teach.
Again, the name is?
Angie Buchanan. You can also look up earthtraditions.org.
Earthtraditions.org.
And then also deathmidwife.org, I think it is. I think it's .org. The background is like kind of like a lighter pink. That's the website.
But yeah,
so that's who I learned from. They also do a psychopomp class too. I don't know if they still do it, but they do psychopomp training as well through Earth Traditions.
Okay.
And Angie is amazing. She and her husband are very active in like the political community in terms of paganism and like, fighting for those rights and everything. Like she was, from my understanding, a part of being able to get like the pentagram on soldiers' gravestones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. Yeah.
That's
Angie's
awesome.
great.
Well, Caitlin has another question here for you.
Yeah. So, have you been doing a lot of work as a death midwife during COVID-19, or has it been more about holding that space for folks that need it? Definitely the latter. So death midwifery for me now has become something that is more like volunteer basis. It's not something that I do like paid for.
Right.
And also because of COVID and like contact with people, it's not really a thing at the moment. Which is also why, like I said, I've been leaning into like doing events and things. Like some of you might remember, right when it started happening, I was doing like Google Hangouts where like I was making like multiple rooms and people were just coming and hanging out and talking, like just public, whatever, just everybody come out. And that was part of like providing a space for people to connect still and like purge if they need to or laugh if they need to. There has been more holding space. I mean, so me picking up on sessions and things like that, a lot of people that come to me are people that deal with death or transition of some kind, right? Whether it's a literal person passing or whether it's like leaving a job or like a relationship ending or like there are transition points and or like coming from one religion into another or starting over with a new relationship with a goddess or like there's always like a kind of transition bridge point. And so my death midwifery, like a lot of my training around how to deal with when someone is grieving and how to deal with the acceptance part of like nothing is necessarily wrong.
Okay.
Right? Like death is not something you fix.
Right.
That was one of the first lessons in death midwifery. Like when someone passes, it isn't something you can fix. So you being like, fuck, what do I do next? Like there is no like rush around that because they are already dead.
Yeah.
So it's not something we're fixing. It's something that we are tending to. So what are the next steps? What's the protocol? What do we go through to make sure that everybody is where they need to be, and, you know, that kind of thing. And so that helps in my approach to helping my clients and things like that. Also, obviously being a medium, like that also plays into this.
Yeah.
All the deaths and everything with COVID, death waves is what I call them. Like they've been crazy, where like it's like it comes in like clusters. And like just the other day, I had a mentorship with someone, and like I'm mentoring her, but someone else comes in who's passed recently. That's like a friend of a friend of a friend,
Right.
and
Right.
like is like while I'm here. Bleh. So
This happens a lot to me. Yes.
yeah, because you know they'll like just let me just toe in this door. They were okay with it, thankfully, but like that is something that, you know, happens. And I think it's been more active and it's picked up because of a lot of that. Like even though I'm not necessarily bedside, it's on people's minds, it's in their energy, and it's something that they're still thinking about and dealing with and processing. And so it does come into a lot of my sessions, a lot of my mentorships, like those topics around that for sure. So it's increased.
It's increased. Well, I mean, look at what the White House did just the other day, you know, 500,000 deaths due to COVID. You know, and we still have people that don't think COVID's real, and it's really, really sad. And there are those people that have glazed it over because I think that they just don't handle it well. As far as death goes, they don't handle it well, and they just glaze over, and it's just a number. But those are an individual person, that's a family that's grieving right now. And we do need to hold space for it. Absolutely. I wanted to just quickly ask you, I know that we're probably coming towards the end. We're about an hour and a half at this point, and I know I've got to get to work.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Anyhow. So in my family, March is a wonderful thing. Last name O'Reilly. My husband and I are celebrating our 20th year anniversary. We got married on St. Patty's Day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But what has happened since that marriage in the last 20 years, we have lost family member after family member after family member, and it happens in March. So it's like I'm excited to celebrate my Irish tradition, his Irish tradition, which is far more than mine, you know, our anniversary, and
you get injections.
Because of technology and because of the stuff that I know is coming around, I have two ancestor guides, my grandmother that I was telling you about, and my Aunt Angie who raised me, my great Aunt Angie. So those two are almost always around, and they usually hold my wards big time. And I feel them around all the time. I also feel our old family dog, Delta. She's always around.
Oh yeah, animals will totally stick around.
Oh, they do. And I told her she could. Could while she was passing, and she's always welcome here. And I've actually caught my new dog playing with what I think is Delta, you know, which is kind of cute and adorable. But here we've got this anniversary of all this death, and I have a family that is going to basically blast everything on social media. Like I'm going to see it, you know, where it was Aunt Angie, Grandma Helen, Uncle Joe, you know, Mimi, Papa, my husband's mother. I mean, all of this stuff all happens in March, and all of these death anniversaries are coming. I have a ancestor altar that I keep up, and I usually light, you know, once a week. Sometimes it when they want it, you know. And after watching the movie Coco, you really want to keep those pictures up.
I love that movie.
I know, me too. I cry, but it's
every
like,
time.
How do I hold space for those people? But then I'm dealing with the rest of the living that haven't processed through it, and they don't believe like I do. Like I don't feel like death is the end. It's just kind of like another chapter and that's just my belief. And they are just so still stricken with grief 10 years later, and it's overwhelming. And then also be happy in the fact that they're not in any pain anymore, and they're able to still be with me on a different level. Like how does a family, how do I say this, like, because I'm going to just be perceived as the biggest bitch in the family at all. It's just like, it's not like, come on, move on. It's like, they're still here. They don't believe that. So I can't, what do I do? I'm going to get blasted in about a week. In about a week, it's going to start.
Right. Well, I think one thing is like being very aware and protective of your space. If you know that this is going to get blasted, then maybe take some steps back from that social media space, or even like temporarily unfollow for a little while.
Yeah.
So that would be the first thing, is barriers, protection, because like you can't hold space unless you have the energy and the space to do that.
Oh, ooh.
I don't know. That's a hard one. I get kiss the moon. I know, Mama. No.
That's a bumper sticker. You can't hold space if you have the energy to do that. Oof.
Yeah, you kind of need that first, and so that was the first thing that I would say. The second thing is like you can't control how other people react to that. You can't fix it.
Virgo.
That is up to them.
Virgo.
And how they want to process that, and how they need to process that, or are choosing even to process that. If they reach out and it is earnest, and you feel like you are in a space to be able to do that, then fine. But if you need to take a step back, that's okay too. Like, again, this is a part of grief, because even grief doesn't always have to be sad, right? There are moments of like honoring and remembrance and that kind of thing within grief. And that sounds like a lot more of where you tend to be a little more than from the sounds of it. Probably because, as you know, a medium, you are aware that like they're still here. It's just a different relationship. And so more so you probably more into the relationship form, and not necessarily like them gone. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'll be in the kitchen, and my grandmother or my Aunt Angie would be like, "Oh no, take that out, and you need to use this." Yeah. I'm like, oh,
yeah. Oh, the other day I was getting up and I was getting ready for work, and I have to take my husband to work in the morning, and it's really cold, and I am looking on the floor for like a long sleeve shirt. But look, I wear all black, y'all, and it's really hard to find a very specific shirt in that. And also the lights are out, and I hear my dad like, "You better put on a long sleeve." He was a very Southern, very animated man, and "You better put on a long sleeve shirt. You're going to catch your death of cold." And I remember like spinning on him mentally and being like, "You can't say that anymore.
Like, leave me alone.
Like, you can't say I'm going to catch my death of cold. You're dead. Like, that's not fair. It's not even funny." I mean, it's a little funny, but like, I remember like kind of whirling, like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Every day, like if I don't close the curtain to the back door, he's fussing. Somebody gonna come in and break into the house because they can see in, and it's night. Why is the curtain open?
Yeah.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
He'll, like, as my mother would say, he would stalk up and down the hall like a banny rooster. He gets real worked up about it, right? Yes. Like, my father was the kind of person that would describe things in sounds instead of words. Like, you know, mowing the lawn and it drops into a hole, he would be like, "Oh, son of a bitch, boom!" Like, that's how he would talk. It sounds. But anyway.
I love it so much.
Anyway, no. So with that, yeah, the biggest thing is like what you can control is your space and you. And then beyond that, if you are in a place where you are feeling comfortable doing that, then go ahead. But to do so otherwise isn't truly holding space, is it really? Because it's building a space of resentment.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And that's really not helping either of you.
No, and I feel like March coming up is like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
I feel like the piano on the keys, that it's like coming, it's just like, oh, this again. And what was this really happy time has turned into something like, oh, and
Yeah.
then let's just look at what happened last year. It's like there's always something. And then COVID in March last year. Oh my
Are you
God.
familiar with the term Heyoka?
No.
So a Heyoka is like it's a native phrase. And a Heyoka is kind of the person who would offset the energy of what else is happening to find balance in the community. So like a Heyoka could be like the jester in some means, or like if everybody's sad, then he's very happy. If everyone's really happy, then he's kind of like being more sad. And it's like the purpose is to balance, to find balance.
Mm-hmm.
So he offsets the community to help with that. And it's a form of like a medicine person, basically. He's a holy person. And so what about the idea that, have you ever thought maybe for a second that the reason that you have these good things that are happening and you have those good relationships there is the fact that you are basically providing a balance to the energy, because there is so much sadness there.
Wow. Hit me like that. I'm just like over here, like trying to figure out how to do this batch of candles this weekend. But hey, okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
It could be something where it's just simply part of you balancing the energy, and also just living naturally in where you are with it. Like, you should never have to feel like you have to grieve a certain way for someone else.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I tend, and it's a pet peeve of mine, and it shouldn't be, but somehow this bothers me, and I probably need to explore this as, a trigger and a trauma. But when people will do like somebody who has passed, and then they put up, oh, you would have been 64 today, happy birthday, grandma, or whatever. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, I look at it as really asinine. And again, like a bitch.
I think for them, because everybody grieves differently, right? I think for them, a lot of times it is probably their way of feeling connected, because they don't have like the spirit communication thing. So like their way of connecting is probably like remembering milestones and remembering certain things about them, whether it's good or bad. And so things like, I'm acknowledging your birthday and you would have been this old, like to them is them still feeling like they're with them.
I guess.
Even though to some extent it can also be used, depending on things, to kind of like hurt them almost. Like, I don't want to say punish, but like, make them feel bad, because bad is a comforting thing at this point, to feel bad because that's what they're used to.
That's how
maybe what
that's exactly how I feel. Like, I feel like they're wallowing in it. I feel like they're just stuck and they're staying there, and they're just like kind of like willing them to be alive. And then there's like this guilt, which I know that guilt actually comes from anger. So they're upset, the fact that they're not there. And it's kind of like a built resentment that they're not there. It's just like, why can't you just let them go and let them be, and connect with them in a different way? You don't have to like pull them back down here,
I think there's probably a combination to that, right? Like, I can't answer for them, but like my speculation would be, one, either they don't know that there are other ways and they're like doing the best with what they have, or they do know that there are other ways, but they're scared of them, because what if they go to explore that and they lose this?
Ooh.
For me, one of the things that really hit me hard after my dad's death was forgetting his voice. And so it was like, I was afraid that I would forget his voice, even though I can hear it kind of in my head, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was afraid that I would hear how it sounded, like physically. And like I would forget that. And so for a long time, I had a lot of fear about it. And maybe it's something along those lines for them as well, where like they're afraid to try something else because they're afraid that in searching for that, they'll lose what they're holding. Gotcha. Because they feel like they're holding so little already because things have been taken from them. So it's one of those things, like, you know, people get angry, people get hurt, people lash out at others, people lash out at themselves. Like grief does all kinds of things to that dynamic for sure. And everybody does in their own. And also like some people are task people. A lot of earth signs usually are, where like they get busy doing the things instead of processing, which is what I did. And then I got pneumonia. And don't recommend. Yeah, absolutely. So, no, my advice is just like, you know, you can only control the things that you can control. Perhaps your joy is there to balance it. And maybe in that example, they will see that it's okay to accept some of that into when they're ready to. But it has to be on their terms and when they're ready, if they want it. That's their life. That's their path. Their lessons.
Their stuff.
Yep. And if you are feeling up to holding space, cool. Hold space. But don't do it because you feel like you have to.
Okay.
Because you want to.
Good advice. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat. At least I haven't seen. Let's see. I moved real quick. Just make sure I didn't miss anybody. All right. Is there any closing statements that you want to wish? Is you want to give a shout out on your website? I'm hoping that you will send me in Messenger or text or whatever some of your links so that I can add them to the description box. Anything you want to share, I'll add there. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so hi guys. So you can find me on my website at chrisashburn.com. Cris is spelled like this, no H, CRIS. .com and there are services and things like that. Right now, my first opening is in March, so I'm booked until March. So you can go through there. I have ancestral sessions. I have energy clearings. There are tarot readings on there. All kinds of stuff. There's mentorship packages that go from to like 1 month to 3 months at a time. And ultimately, I'm looking to opening up a 6 month as well. I might actually have opened that already. Everything's a blur. Anyway. There are also workshops and things on there as well. There is ritual music on there. I do like channeled song because I love singing, hence the karaoke commentary earlier. And then my Patreon is like the core part. Like if I recommend anything, it's my Discord because it's literally $1 to access to all of these events, some really awesome people who are very accepting. Aiden actually once said, and I love this quote about the community. He said that the Love Your Face family, or the Life Fam, as I call it, it's the place where healers go to heal because they're used to holding space for other people. But in there, space is held for you and you hold it for other people. Like it's a mutual thing. And so it's like, I love that, where healers go to heal. I was like, I might tagline that. but it's literally $1. And then like anything else above that. So the tiers go from $1 to $50. The 50 is currently sold out right now. That's the mentorship one. The course one is 40, then it's 25, then it's 10, 5, and 1. And then basically the podcast that I'm hoping to do in the future, that's coming up. So keep an eye out for that, and the priestessing stuff. Also check out Luxunis Sisterhood. I'll give her the link so she can put it underneath. Luxunis Sisterhood, actually, speaking of courses really quick, that's another place that I put stuff. There is an ancestral course in there as well that's specifically for them that I made. And that's only available to the members. It's free to join. But you can only like sign up for those classes if you're a member, and the membership, like the gates only open in March and September.
Okay.
It closes down. And there's a questionnaire. You have to answer the questions. Otherwise, it's like instant reject. So please pay attention and answer the questions. But other than that, I'd love to have you guys.
Gotta follow the directions.
Yeah. Think of it as like a ritual gate, like where someone asks, do you enter in perfect love and perfect trust? Mm-hmm. It's kind of that. That's what that's used as for that group. So answer honestly, but make sure you answer. Otherwise, you're just strolling in a circle and people are like, this bitch, what?
What is she doing?
Excuse me, ma'am. You gotta go. So yes. But no, like if I recommend anything, it's come join me on Discord. It's literally $1. That's like not even a Starbucks coffee.
Not even a Starbucks coffee. Those monthly charges, or is it a one-time fee? Monthly?
So you can do so it'd be $1 monthly, or it would be, I think, with the discount, if you do the year, it's like $10.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like a certain percentage off or something. I think it's like 10. If you do the $1, yeah, and then you just sign up for the year of it. But yeah, like so you can do monthly or you can do a yearly. And then anything else beyond that, if I recommend the death tents.
Okay.
The ancestral ones. The death tent is a drumming that I have done with my family since I was small. It is like journey working to them. It is a tradition that I grew up with that I have now called death tent. My mother called it something else. Mm-hmm. And that like I provide it then twice a month for others. And whether it is something where like you're trying to get used to journey work and meditation and deepening that and like getting better at coming in and out of it and transitions, that helps you because it holds you accountable because it's twice a month. Or you're trying to build a deeper bond with your ancestors and go deeper, or you're trying to find a community to share that intimacy with. They're never recorded.
Okay. Ever.
And I will not record them because of the fact that they can get very intimate for some people. Yeah. And it's family. So we're not doing that. Yeah. But it is something that I know people have changed their outlooks on things. They have changed their relationship with their family and their ancestors, themselves. There's shadow work stuff that comes in. The gods are called. I open portal. Like it's a sacred space and it's a safe space, and sharing is had later. You don't have to share. Okay. But if you feel the need, it's encouraged. So yeah. So, but it's like a whole thing. And those are probably one of my favorite things to do other than one-on-ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my plug. Discord link. I'll give you website and then my YouTube is up too. I honestly haven't put things on it, so
I get back there and troll and see stuff that you're doing. You know, like I don't know. Sometimes you got downtime and it's just like not a Netflix day, and you just kind of want to like tag in on something that can actually feed you, you know. And so sometimes some of our old videos, I mean, I've been on for about 4 years, and sometimes I go back and watch my videos like, what the hell was I talking about?
Oh my gosh. Going back and watching my videos, it's like, oh, I'm so awkward. Yeah. But something that Charlie said to me once, though, is that it's good to know. She's like, I am very consistent, apparently. So the stuff that I was talking about back in the day is still a lot of the things that like are the topics that I'm focusing on now. Okay. So that's good to know that I'm consistent. But yeah, no, that there's a lot of video. I mean, I've been like 8 years or something now. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that so many of us are like still around and doing things.
I know. Really cool. Yeah. And it's cool that we all found each other too. And I feel a lot of that to Sir Noah, Mr. Noah.
Yes, I love Noah.
Who doesn't love that Noah? I mean, he is like.
He's also another one that seems like he would give good hugs.
He does give good hugs. He does. But, I mean, you're going to bond over water with him because he's drinking all the water all the time.
Look, I have 3 glasses in front of me.
Got the liquids, double score.
Yeah, because you gotta have like your warm thing for your throat, your water for your hydration, and then also sometimes something carbonated just to cut through the phlegm because it's winter.
Yeah. Or in case you need to burp. I mean,
that's true too. Yeah, sometimes you just need to like let one out and see if it like affects the Richter scale.
Oh my God. Okay, we're ending here because I could really talk to you all day. You stay right there. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. I really have enjoyed this series. I have more people coming up. Like I had mentioned, Crimson Fire. We also are going to see Australia Friend with Elder Crow this weekend. I've got Honey Moon tomorrow night. She's an Alaskan witch and a belly dancer. There's some fun stuff happening. And then I also have my New Orleans witch pack. My very good friend Meredith Monarch M, who is an epidemiologist by day and a burlesque dancer by night. So you're going to want to check that out, and that's coming up in Saturday the 6th of March. And then Tequila has also agreed to come on as a guest, so she will also be here. I don't know what truth she has to say, probably the fact that she still doesn't have any water in Texas. I know, it's been bad.
So bad. That entire situation, sorry to cut you off, that entire situation makes me so sad. Like, I've been checking in on Aiden, like every time I like look in the Discord, like on the update, he's like, day 65.
I had to reschedule with Aiden. He's like, girl, I have no power, and I've been running back and forth to my car to charge my phone. Don't worry about it.
He popped in on the voice chat at one point, and I was like, Aiden, do you have a way to charge your phone right now? Because if you are using the last bit of your battery to be on a voice call with us, like, I'm about to mom you. Like, you need that for emergencies.
For sure. Yeah, no, I have my kid Ridley is there, which Noah's so sweet, went around to all the HEBs and got them Gatorade and delivered it to them. Aww. Let me tell you, Noah, love you. This mom was like stressing. I was like texting him, did you see them? Are they okay? I'm like, worried mom. Worried mom. But I mean, we've got, a little Cosmic Crow there, Snow the Witch, Noah, Tequila, Trina. I mean, there's just so many. I had my kid Ridley there, my son, his fiance, and my granddaughter all still there. And I was a basket case last week. Absolute basket case. Oh, and then Aiden as well. I mean, my God, Texas, what had happened, but is what it is. But I'm glad that most of it is over. I think most everybody has gotten their water back, but I think you guys are still in boil. I think you have to boil the water before you can use it to do anything. It's just bad.
We had that scare back several years ago, the algae bloom thing that happened with the lake, and then Toledo like couldn't use its water. Everything was boil. I still don't trust tap water.
I don't.
I still don't. I'm rid of filtering it up. Okay.
Bottles of water, and we have at any given time, we have anywhere from, I don't know, 10 to 15 5-gallon bottle of water in our house. We have them under the bed, we have under the stuff. I'm just like, look, if the world collapses and I've got all this emergency food, I gotta use water.
So wait a minute. Don't judge me.
A little bit.
This entire time they've been backwards. Anyway, no wonder.
I love
priestess, also human. Okay. Anyway, yeah, no. So you just reminded me of something, because I was telling you about funny little stories before we went on about my husband. He's a Sag, Scorpio, for those of you who don't know. So basically, of all of like, what just happened? What'd you just say? And and so you were talking about water. One day he gets in the car because he works for like a plastics company. He runs like the big machines and stuff. And he gets in the car and he sits down. He's got this giant jug and he goes, "Surprise water!" And then he just, and I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, "Surprise." I'm like, is there something special about this water? Like, what? No, they had extra water. Surprise! Surprise water.
Surprise water.
And I was like, we have water. And he's like, well, we have more. Surprise.
Got more?
Like, so yeah, no introduction, no hi, honey. How was your day? Surprise water.
He sounds like a hoot. He sounds like a hoot.
That's great. It's great.
Oh
You
my
never know what's
God.
going to come out of his mouth. It's great.
I love it.
And so now every time it's sitting in the floor in the corner by the kitchen where we keep like all our pop and stuff or our soda for the Southerners. And and every time I walk by it in my head, I hear, oh, surprise water. So you were like, I have water bottles. And I was like, I have surprise water.
Surprise water.
Surprise.
I do. I have water everywhere. And I live on an island.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Water everywhere. Double
So
scorpion.
I grew up with water in 3 directions. So I feel that. I miss that, actually. That's one thing I miss.
It's been really wonderful. It's been really, really, really wonderful. I feel like, and God, I forget who is, they're like, oh, isn't that interesting that you're a Virgo double Scorpio and you're on an island and this how that fits you. And I just feel the most at home here than I ever have felt anywhere else.
It's a balance. It's you, but a landscape.
It's you on a landscape. I know.
Yeah. That's fitting. Yeah.
You see right there, everybody else, we love you. And if you haven't subscribed, then go ahead and do that, because then you can see all of these fancy things, and you hit the little bell and you hit the little like and you do the little things, and then you'll see more of me, because I have magical herb education that has just dropped a video before I went on with Cris, and we were talking about the bay leaf, and then I do witchy field trips kind of thing. So I go around to, paranormal places, and I also go to different shops and take video and give people shout outs as a thing. So join if you will. Many blessings, y'all. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.